Hey, welcome back. It's time for another Dueling Excel podcast. I'm Bill Jelen from Mr. Excel. I'll be joined by Mike Girvin from Excel is Fun. This is our episode 156, Unmatched, Debits and Credits. Hey, welcome back. It's time for another Dueling Excel podcast. And boy, I'm glad this is not episode 155 because that was a monster. This one, hopefully, should be easier. Question from Colin at YouTube. Want to match negative numbers with positive numbers in over 1,000 lines. So when we have 100, find the minus 100. There are duplicate amounts, so we have to be able to handle that. And what I think is happening here, it sounds like we have a bunch of positive debits or credits and then the corresponding match. Maybe like this was an invoice for $452, and we want to go through and find Ctrl F minus $452. So right there, those two items are matched, and we want to mark them off. And after marking everything off, we're going to be left with in essence, invoices that haven't been paid or debits without matching credits. And so, as I thought about this, I thought about using Control F, but the tough part is those duplicates. Right, when we go to find a negative 452 here, I'm going to find the first one. But then when I go and try and find a negative 452 here, I don't want to find the first negative 452. I want to find the second one, and that seemed like that was going to be tough to do with Control F. I'm going to press Alt F11 here and we'll take a look at this code. My choice for the VBA was to use the auto filter, or it's just called filter now. You'll see that we set up two ranges, my range and data range, and the my range is all of the data starting from cell H1, and that's what I'm going to apply the auto filter to. But then after I apply the auto filter, I want to start looking for visible cells, and that has to start in row 2. And so data range, you see, starts in row 2. And initially, the size of this was final row minus 1 because I wanted to go to just the last row. But sometimes we're looking for an item that does not have a match, and the visible cells only feature will fail if there are no visible cells. So I had to go to one extra row. So both of these are the same size. This one starts in row 2, the first row of data, and includes one blank row below the data. This is a loop that's going to go through and do something 1,000 times, and because of that, I turned off screen updating here, so with the screen it does not flash. Although, as we're testing it, we need to leave that back on so we can see what's going on. Application status bar just tells us the status, and then the other thing I realized, the first time I ran this, I actually recorded the video and was ready to send it off to Mike. And I realized the answers were all wrong. If something's already been matched, so when we find that negative 452 and we have an answer out here in J indicating that's been matched, we don't want to go find the other one. We don't want to look any further. So we have to look here in column J, which is the 10th column, and make sure that there's nothing been entered there. And then if that's true, what are we going to look for? LF is my variable for look for. It's the negative of whatever value is here. So let's just run this code as I talk, so we can go through. All right, so here we are. We're on row 2, and what are we looking for? We're looking for a negative 452. So we start with the auto filters off. We turn the auto filters on. Go to the third column in our data set and look for things that are not, look for the blanks, which in this case everything is currently a blank, and then go to column 2 and look for negative 452. So I'll press F8 to run that. And look at this, we get 3 of them, okay? And we have no indication which one's right, so I'm going to assume that it is the first one that we are going to match. So let me bring this back here so we can see it. Check the data range. That's the one that starts in row 2 and extends down to row 731. Special cells, XL cell type visible. This is just like doing go to special visible cells only. See if we have more than one cell there. If that's true, then the match row is the first cell. So let's hover over there, and you'll see that they are matching it to row 39. All right, so I'm going to put the number 2 in both the original data and the second data. We can't see the original data right now, but I'll run that code and see there's the number 2, and then turn off the auto filter after each one. And so we end up with a 2 there, and also a 2 down here in row 39 to indicate that those are matched. And my idea is we just let this go through and process every single one. So here we are looking for the 201s, and there was only one match. So those both get marked with a number 3. And now we're looking for the 99s, and there were a bunch of matches. And so the 2 get marked with a number 4. And now we're looking for a 496. Oh, and there's no match here. So the if statement will just skip over all of this, and nothing gets marked in that particular case. And it just keeps going. So I'll press the run button here. You see it's actually kind of slow because I left the application screen updating on. All right, there we go. That was bad. Having to sit there and watch that. I actually paused the video so you wouldn't have to sit there and watch that. Let's take the application screen updating out. This way you can actually see what the difference is. So we'll clear all this data that we've matched up. Press the delete key and Alt F8 will run. See, the screen doesn't change at all here, but down in the lower left hand corner, because of application status bar, we can see just a few seconds to do everything. All right, so now anything that has a blank over here is the items that are not matched. We could actually sort the data A to Z by column J, and that will bring the matching records together. So there's the 452 and the minus 452, the 201 and the minus 201, and then down at the end we have all of the records without a match. So there you go, that VBA code. That's the solution. Mike, I can't imagine that you have a formula that would do this, but let's see what you have.
Thanks, Mr. Excel. VBA, I do not know VBA, so I'm stuck doing formulas. Actually, I got tripped up on this, but eventually found a solution I think that works. So here's this smaller data set, just so we can kind of make sense of it. There's 200, and I need to find the first opposite. There's another 200, find the first opposite. But boom, there's some unmatched 200s. If I come to this 500, I don't see anything down here, right? 600, there's a match here. Come down to the 458, there's a match here, but there's an unmatched minus here. So the white ones will be our unmatched ones. Now I'm going to start by doing a running count. So I'm going to say, hey, that range and that criteria. Now how I'm going to construct this is I want an expandable range. So I'll lock the first one, F4. This will expand. Right now I'll get a count of 1. But when I get down to the second 200, I'll get a 2. Down here I'll get a 3 and a 4. Control Enter. Double click and send it down. If I put this in edit mode, you can see how it's expanded as I copy down with the criteria always relative cell reference, 3 and 4. Now I'm going to count the opposite. So I'll use COUNTIF without an expandable range. So I highlight that whole range. And instead of simply clicking there, I'm going to minus. So I'm counting. For every 200 I see in the list, I'm going to actually see the total count of the opposites. Control Enter, double click and send it down. So there's a 2, and even down here for these unmatched numbers, it still says 2. But notice what the running count says. How many 200s are there? 3. How many opposites of 200s are there? There's 2. So I simply say anytime the running count is greater than the count of the opposites, double click and send it down. And there we get our patterns of trues, right? Trues, trues, and trues. Those are the unmatched. So I could come over here, equals COUNTIF. I'll do my expandable range and my criteria, locking. Boop, with the F4 key, anytime you are greater than COUNTIF of the whole range. Whoops, notice my cursor moving, and I want to use my arrows to get the cell references, so I have to hit F2 to go from, I should have shown you that down here. So down here it says Edit. So edit means that my arrows move the flashing cursor. But now look down here, edit. If I hit F2, it's back to enter. So now my cursor will work to get the cell reference. Control Shift down arrow, F4, comma, and I need the opposite of that. Close parentheses, Control Enter, double click and send it down. Then I'm going to select a single cell, Control Shift L. Then I'll go ahead and uncheck false. It'll give me true. Control Shift down arrow and watch his Control C. I love filter. Look at that. The dancing ants are highlighting just the visible cells. Now I'm going to come over here. Whoops, I wasn't supposed to have that there. I don't know if the dancing ants are still going. Control C. Come over here. Control V. And then this is the list Mr. Excel got. Here's the one I got. I'm just going to check. And I'm going to join that with the ampersand, the serial number to the data. I'm going to say, are you equal to the serial number and the serial number, date, and the number, serial number, date, and the number. Control Enter. Double click and send it down. Looks like I got a bunch of truths. All right, Control up arrow, Control Shift L to turn that off. All right, we'll throw it back to Mr. Excel.
Woohoo! Point to Excel is fun. Math wins. That is so much easier than my method. Great way to go, Mike. All right, I want to thank everyone for stopping by. We'll see you next week for another Dueling Excel podcast from Mr. Excel. Excel is fun.